Hi, I'm Ruth Gresser from Pizzeria Paradiso, and we're making pizza today. Right now I'm going to show you how to make pizza dough by hand. So the first thing I'm going to do, I have a pound of flour in this bowl, and the first thing I'm going to do is just dump it right on the counter. The best thing about making dough this way is you hardly need any tools, and it's just very simple and it's fun. So you dump the flour on the counter, and then you create a well in the center, and you pour in your water. I've got 10 ounces of water here, and you want water that is right around just over 100 degrees because the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to sprinkle the yeast on top. And you need water that is the right temperature so that it's not too hot so that it doesn't kill the yeast, but it's warm enough for the yeast to grow. And then you just take your fingers and use them to mix the yeast into the water. And as you do that, you'll see that some of the flour comes in. And that is fine. It gives the yeast a little something to feed on, so because they're in there reproducing right now. And you can see it's starting already. You can see the bubbles on top of the water, and that's the sign that the yeast are alive and doing their job. So you just let that sit for a couple of minutes and let the yeast start to work and grow, and the next step will be adding the oil and the salt. So we've got a teaspoon of yeast in with 10 ounces of water in the flour, and it's been sitting for a little bit to start to grow. And now we're going to put in a tablespoon of oil and a tablespoon of salt. And then we're just going to mix that in a little bit into the water and the yeast. So you can see that the yeast has gotten kind of creamy and it's proofed nicely. So now we're going to start to make the dough itself by working in the flour. And you want to start gently because you don't want to break the wall of the flour and have the water and the yeast run all over the place. So you slowly mix in the flour into the yeast mixture. And as you're doing this, you'll start to hear the yeast actually proofing and growing, and it'll sort of sound like almost like Rice Krispies. So you keep working in the flour, and as you can see over here, it's starting to get less liquid. And when we get around here, you can see at this point the mixture is not going to go anywhere, so you can start bringing in the whole wall of flour, and that's when you want to get your dough cutter. The thing about using the dough cutter is that it keeps one hand clean, so that you can actually use it to clean off the other hand. But the idea is that you have one hand actually working the dough, and then you have the other hand working with the dough cutter. And I think it was Julia Child who was reported to say that that's the best thing about using the dough cutter is that you can still answer the phone when you're making bread dough.